Yo, how do I get this shit set up properly?
I figure out how this shit works, man.
Oh, there we go. I can make you the big screen.
Fuck that.
I can go back if you want.
Should be able to do like a split screen thing, I think, yeah?
We used to be able to, yeah. Is it through guests maybe? Here, let me see if I do this. No, let's see. I have to play with this shit and figure out the tech side of whatnot. Let's fix panel. Can I do grid? That looks a little better.
Yeah, no, I know there's a way to do it with fucking you don't have all like 8 boxes. I don't know, whatever. I don't give a shit about being a small box.
It makes me feel a little bigger. It helps with my insecurities.
Word, that's a good call.
Let me try and look at this real quick. Also, welcome in, guys. I play with the tech as we're doing this. So the game plan is Joe and I. So Joe and I have talked a lot, especially the last few months. Like I'm sure many of us have been, as we're kind of watching the world just kind of fall into chaos. We've been having conversations, man, about philosophy, about politics, about direct action, about electoralism, about a lot of these things that many of us talk about here and with others. And I think it's fair to say that both you and I are kind of frustrated, to say the least, with a lot of the conversations we see on here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another cool thing that we do with each other a lot is we'll just kind of bounce shit off of each other and like deconstruct in real time, working through issues that we have or that we see or whatever. It's a pretty rad process.
100%. Like I think our friends will say, I think the best debate you and I've had, I think they'll say hierarchy. I'm not sure it's hierarchy though. I'm trying to think, man.
Jesus.
Oh, dude, the Jesus convo. That Mary Magdalene. But no, so one thing I thought would be a good place to start, and we'll kind of chill for a second as some people come in. Do us a favor, guys, send the live out to some people if you want to get some people to kind of join the conversation. If you think someone could kind of do with hearing some of this, right? If you think someone could contribute, right? We're trying to kind of get more people involved. We're trying to kind of model the behavior that we think we should see more of on this app. Like I was saying in that video earlier, I think that I think social media can be an amazing tool. That's actually something Joe and we do actually have a little bit of a disagreement on, just like the uses of social media, how people do use it, what you can and can't do with it at times. I don't really even disagree with them. I just think that it's a really cool tool to connect with people and educate. And I think we're just pissing it away. We use it kind of for, I'd say, shit reasons, egotistical reasons, self-serving reasons. And so I think that at least my hope is that we can kind of model what healthy communication looks like, what healthy disagreement looks like, especially like in times like this, right, where fascism is on the rise. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Word. And like your take with social media and using the internet as a tool, I don't disagree with, Matt. Where I think we run into a problem, which we see so much of on TikTok, is when people when they come out talking a big game about how they are this, that, and the other. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. Start talking about guerrilla warfare, all sorts of shit, making people think that they know what they're doing when they don't. And then when it's actually time for action, they're nowhere to be fucking found because they really have no idea what they're doing. There's an issue with that. On top of all the typical shit that we talk about all the time with the TikTok commies that know better than everybody, and their theory is more than anybody's lived experience. It's worth more than anybody's lived experience or anything that's happening in the world. Like we've talked about, everybody thinks that they got to be a John Rambo in the resistance, and when you wait and just when you go to just wait for one big thing, you miss out on all the small things that you could be doing to make your community directly a better place for everybody.
Well, that's kind of it. So if you're waiting for and I think that's it, man. We've talked a lot about kind of like that Hollywood mentality, right? The John Rambo mentality. And if you're waiting for like this, I call it kind of like the kill shot, right? If you're waiting for the kill shot for fascism, it's not going to come, right? I'm not saying it couldn't be a possible thing. Like sometimes like organic moments happen in societies, in civilizations, right? Where you have like a kind of a trigger point for something, but that's not something you can really manufacture, in my opinion. And if you're waiting for that moment, right, to his point, what are you doing day to day to help people that are suffering beneath this shit right now? And you're not helping. And I don't think that revolution is some glorious thing, right? I think that a lot of times people talk about it like it's a movie. They talk about it like it's and I don't even think people talk about it like it's fun. I think that's a little reductive, but they talk about it in an unrealistic sense. They don't realize that just simply helping your neighbors get to the grocery store, right? Helping someone sign out to vote, building a community garden, joining a mutual aid network, so many different things. These inglorious moments where you build community and you just connect with people on a deeper level, that is revolutionary in a society like this where we're so individualistic, right? And so I think our goal is to kind of help people kind of figure out that revolution is not Hollywood. It's not it's not the way a lot of people talk about on this app. It's the little moments day to day where we can inject empathy into a society that's so devoid of it. So
Absolutely. Making change at the most basic level. I use the same thing for voting. When everybody waits to vote for the president, things of that nature, where you could get more left-leaning candidates into lower parts of the government, city, local, whatever it may be, you can get people in that have your same ideals into those lower branches and build a base. You know what I mean? But that's the shit that really matters. Like, we're not electing a fucking commie or a socialist or anything like that for president. Like, it's just not going to happen. There's no backing for it. But if we start with shit like that at a local level, then you move up to state, this, that, and the other. You can enact change through even a voter system, so many people, they think about voting and they go, okay, well, I voted, my deed is done. It's a fucking problem.
Okay. Actually, that's a good place to go to voting, because I don't think you and I subscribe to electoralism. Certainly not in this context right now. But I also think people use the word electoralism incorrectly. Like, electoralism doesn't mean just vote, right? That's not what electoralism is. That's a part of electoralism. That's a tool within electoralism. But as I've kind of understood electoralism, it really is the belief that working within the system, right, working within kind of more electoral channels is the best way to promote change. And I don't think that's necessarily realistic, but I think that you can balance the tools that we have within the system with the idea of direct action. And I think oftentimes we kind of create this either or conversation where people are like, well, either you vote or you do direct action. And it's like, well, why couldn't you do both? But also recognize that we at best vote once or twice a year, right? So what are you doing every other day?
At best. And I mean, how many people show up to vote once or twice a year? It's once
Not
every 4 years for like 80%. That's just a number I'm pulling out of my ass. But I look at like the local elections here where I live at, and I think the last one we had a 17% voter turnout for fucking our local county elections.
That's kind of it, man. Like, so people show up for national elections for the most part, right? But are you showing up for the primaries? Are you trying to reshape the party in a way that like I might be done voting for Democrats on the national level. Never know what's going to happen 3 years from now if we even have a national election like that. But like you were saying a few minutes ago, what are you doing at the local level to try to impact things? Like, so if you think that infiltrating the Democratic Party and you think the Democrats are the way forward in terms of opposing Republicans, and you're not happy with them, what are you doing day to day to help reshape the party where you're at? Right? Are you promoting people in local races? Are you trying to primary out? Like, so for me locally, for example, we've got Ami Berra. I'm in Citrus Heights, California, right? He's my local representative. And he was one of the people, one of the 10 Democrats that voted to censure Al Green, right? So I would like to try to either boot his ass out and get someone better in the Democratic Party, or hell, just kind of try to find some third party movement, right, in the area and build that up to really kind of start to challenge Republicans and Democrats that I think have grown too comfortable, right? Kevin Kiley is someone in Orangevale that's way too comfortable, way too entrenched right now. And I'm not sure if infiltration is the way or something new is the way, right? We kind of talked about that a little bit, but that might depend on the locale, right, and the people you're working with.
Absolutely. But see, there's a thing on these smaller elections on that local level. You do have the ability to put a third party into power locally. You know what I mean? And that's where I think if people do want to vote going forward, they need to be involved in their local elections, because everybody that goes, oh, I'm going to vote for third party, I'm not voting because the Democrats and Republicans vote the same, which I don't inherently disagree with. I mean, they're not the same. They're both fucking capitalist, fucking this, that, and the other. But you can't argue the fact right now that we wouldn't be where we are as a country with all these executive orders if the other side had gotten in, right? So like, and I get that there are hard lines that people don't want to fucking cross to vote for somebody to mitigate harm. I guess that's the way to put it, to mitigate harm, right?
Yeah.
On these smaller elections, that's where I'm going at. With these smaller elections, these local elections, you can get a third party candidate in. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have all the money and all the resources and all the bullshit that you do on a fucking national level. And if you can get them in locally and build your fucking party, you can build the infrastructure for your party to jump to that next level and to that next level. I mean, oh, well, there's not time. Well, I agree. There's not time. That's where the direct action and community building comes in You know what I mean? Being out, being active in your community. And that's the thing, like revolution or, resistance isn't all about fucking fighting, like we were just saying. It's
No.
building community. It's going making sure that people aren't, to the best of your ability, that people aren't hungry, that they're not freezing. You know what I mean? If you can't get out and you're fucking housebound, I mean, fuck, dude, how many things are there to do with fucking phone banking and shit on the internet with getting the word out to people? There's all sorts of things that literally anybody can do.
Yeah, I get kind of frustrated with the accessibility conversation, not in the sense that it's not important, because like any kind of movement, in my opinion, any kind of abolition movement, any kind of liberation movement, any kind of movement that's really about the people, obviously inclusivity, accessibility are at the heart of it, right? These are like really keystone values that if you ignore, you're not about it. But I think that some people don't realize that we live in a time where, with this screen in your hand, most of us have a smartphone. Most of us have access to a computer. Most of us do. And if you have access to that, you do have access to the system and you have access to helping, right? So, for example, maybe you can't go on the ground and work at your local food bank, but can you help? Like you said, food. Can you make phone calls for them? Can you try and get some donations? Can you make calls highlighting certain donation drives and things like that, right? Can you work on the social media team to amplify their page or to amplify their marketing and things like that? There's hell. Can you just donate $1? One of our good friends, Shy, is brilliant. Her idea of micro donations is brilliant, man. Like, so for example, let's say you're trying to strike out of a local area, right? And an issue would be maybe that certain people don't have the money to do that, right? Their paycheck to paycheck, their day to day even. How many people would have to give $1 to create a strike fund for just one local group? It wouldn't be that many, man. We're like in a country of 330 million. Let's just say, to make it easy, 200 million adults, and that's not even the right number. Let's just go with 200 million adults. If everyone gave one damn dollar, that's a huge fucking fund to support something right there, right? And so to me, the bigger issue is getting people to understand collective power and then the distribution of that power and how we can wield that against the elite. But you also said it, man. It's not revolution is not just pitchforks and Molotov cocktails, man. Everything's context. And again, in a country where food is not a human right, right? So a few years back, there was a UN resolution, right? Countries voted on whether food should be a human right or not. We were one of the few countries, along with Israel and one other country I can't remember, that said no. It's not. So in a country where food is not a human right, simply working within organizations to try to get that to people who don't have access to it or have insecurities, that is revolutionary action. Straight up. It might not be glorious. It might not be that Rambo shit that you watch Hollywood, but that's helping people. That's on the ground, real tangible shit that's making a difference and trying to mitigate what the system doesn't give a fuck about, right? So,
Absolutely.
so,
For the simple
so
act of random kindness are a resistance when random acts of kindness are viewed down upon by the regime.
yeah. Like straight, what was Elon's line about empathy, right? Like when he was up there, I don't think it was on Fox News. But he's talking about how empathy is like one of the biggest issues facing like the Western society right now. Like too much empathy. It's like, damn, bro, come on. And that's kind of something I've been looking into, trying to trace back like the origins of humans, different human species, kind of the emergence of existence. And to me, it is that connection point. It is literally like the understanding. And we've talked about this a lot with our friends, but like, what's the very first thing humans do, bro? Like, what's the very, like, we all pop out the womb if we're lucky enough to draw first breath. What's the first thing we fucking do? We're asking
Right.
for help. You're
Yeah.
asking for help. I'm crying for help. You can't do this shit on your own. There's no point in your life you're doing this shit on your own. And so, like, I think that's a big problem, honestly, with liberalism and with just America in general, because by definition, liberalism is a political moral philosophy that's predicated upon individualism, right? What's the opposite of individualism? I'd say collective, community,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, by definition, you're going to run into a problem when your political moral philosophy is individualism, when the USA is rugged bootstraps, pull yourself up, all this good shit. And that's why I think so many people have a hard time when you say, well, we got to build community. And they're like, well, what the fuck is that? How do we do that? We are so disconnected from each other. We don't even know how to be people to each other anymore. So, step number one, probably deconstruct this shit for yourself, man.
As simple as fucking introducing yourself to your neighbors and fucking talking. Fucking, oh yeah, no, I noticed you didn't take your trash can out. I grabbed that for you so it didn't get fucking missed. You know what I mean? How many people across this country have never fucking spoken a word to their neighbors?
I was one of them for a while, bro. I know. I'm like, dude, for a while, I'm taking my trash can out and you see someone, you try to scurry back in real quick. You don't want that awkward conversation. Like, I just want to get back to what I'm doing. But that's
Yeah,
part of the problem. Why don't I want to talk to my neighbors? Like that's part of the problem, right? And so that's kind of what's frustrating too, is I think there's a lot of a holier than thou attitudes on this app. And I think both of you would acknowledge that we have things in our past that we got to work on. We'll have things in our future that we got to work on. And I think there's a lot of people that think that if they can just point at someone, that's enough. Congratulations, like pointing at MAGA. Yay, you can recognize the shit stains among us. That doesn't make you a good person. Me coming up on this app and talking shit about liberals or about MAGA doesn't make me a good person. right? I can offer a performance, but then what are we doing off this app, right? With our downtime amongst people. And I think we just got to be a little more honest about the fact that a lot of us could give a little bit more. We could. And if we all just gave a little bit more, I think we'd be happy with the results. But
Yeah. So I do want to address something that Karina said in the comments. I saw it come across. She says, I live in the hood. I have to keep to myself. And obviously we're saying like, don't go put yourselves into danger. You know what I mean? That being said, like I grew up in the fucking barrio. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in South San Pedro, surrounded by Gardena and Compton and fucking Carson. Like it's viewed upon as being a pretty shitty place. And I was still able to fucking build community there. I was still, I was still able to, talk with people in the neighborhood. I mean, that in my experience, and obviously every place is different, but in my experience, like that sense of community in the neighborhood is stronger than fucking in the suburbs and shit like that, because people are fucking trying to look out for each other.
so I'm trying to get these comments up. But you just hit it, man. Like you're kind of forced to, honestly, because like that, and that's the problem. I think is a lot of people expect like the system to save them. The system by design is meant to fuck people. Some people more than others, and that's only going to continue to get worse. So if you can't trust Republicans to save you, obviously, right? I don't think MAGA is going to come down and save people. I don't think Democrats are really interested in saving people. They're more interested in their corporate donors. So who is going to save you if not you and the people around you that you try to connect with? That
That's it, man. I mean, when people are being disappeared off the fucking streets on the daily, it seems now, and that's only going to get worse. Like, we need to stand up for our fucking neighbors. And when I say neighbor, I don't mean the person that lives directly in the house next door to you or directly in the apartment next door to you. I mean your community, your local community. We have to fucking get uncomfortable and put ourselves in the line of fire, essentially. Like, nah, you ain't taking them. You know what I mean? We're seeing videos of people doing it on the internet. We need to make that happen on a widespread canvas, because it's the right thing to do.
well, let's say here's the thing, man. Like I don't expect everyone to have the ability or the desire to like get between physically. But like we were talking about the other night, even pulling out your phone and filming, letting them know that you're watching, letting them know that people are aware, asking the person, hey, who can I call? Hey, what's your name? Letting them know that you know that's a human being, you know who they are, you're going to connect with their family, that they have a support system. That's going to make them a little more hesitant in the moment because you know as well as I do, you don't want to disappear or go after people that have a support system and they could come back on your ass, right? You want to be protected. That's why they cover up. That's why they don't want their badge numbers seen. That's why they don't want any way to identify them and shit like that. So if you could even just pull out your phone and show that you're a witness to what's going on, that matters, man. Don't put your fucking head down though. That's my fear. Is a lot of people are going to put their head down and hide because of that privilege. So
It is, right? It's comfortable. It's easy to do. It's fucking easy. That's what I'm saying. Like, people need to get uncomfortable. You need to fucking be able to make yourself uncomfortable.
trying to see. I can't see comments. All right, you're on comment duty since you can see them. So if I miss comments, my bad tonight, guys. I'll try and figure out the tech on this bad boy.
Uncle
But I
Ham,
do want to circle back to the voting conversation a little bit.
hold on one second. Uncle
Yeah,
Ham
dude.
will throw out a good one. There are organizations that will help build community if you can't do it in your local neighborhood. And that's 100% true. I mean, what we're doing here isn't through an organization, but it is that, right? I mean, Matt and I are fucking what, 700 miles apart,
Hmm?
something like that. You know,
Yeah.
600-700 miles apart, but we're able to. That's the cool thing with technology. We're able to, talk to each other and bounce ideas, and like I said, deconstruct issues that we're having or that we've always had, um, ideas that we've had that can be problematic, and be able to work through it and realize why it's fucked. And that's with some dude I met on the internet, fucking 600 miles away. Why are you putting me on the big screen, dude?
Bro, I was just trying to get people a good view of what's going on, you know? I'm trying to get these comments up, so what's going on right now. Is that better? That's what's frustrating to me about the damn good old. Anyways, that's what's frustrating to me about the kind of inability to utilize tech the right way and utilize social media the right way is because we can connect with people like never before. We can communicate like never before. You can get more people involved like never before, and I think we just pissed that shit away, man. A lot of people have really valid questions about what to do, and instead of trying to address those questions, instead of trying to deconstruct the system, we're having little got you fucking debates with MAGA, for example. And I'm personally at the point in time where, like, look, man, how when it comes to like empathy for MAGA, sympathy for MAGA, and things like that, I'm still figuring out how to fucking handle that shit myself. But when it comes to actually thinking we could debate them and after like a decade of this, like somehow you have like the magic piece of evidence that's gonna fucking flip their mind all of a sudden, that's a fucking waste of time. It's a little waste of time. It's strategically inept when it comes to communication principles. If you understand fascism on a deeper level, you understand how dangerous that is, right? It's immoral in my opinion. And so if it's immoral, right, this idea, because we always talk about the only good fascist as a, you know what, and that's not just for shits and giggles. Like you're not just saying that shit because it's like funny or because it's a fucking edgy tagline. It's a strategic and moral call out as to how to truly address and handle these movements. And if we really believe that the only good fasci is a, certain type of fasci, what would talking to them accomplish if not just giving them oxygen to promote their views, right? So I'm not saying don't deconstruct fascism, but just do it in a controlled environment.
That's it, dude. It's fucking when you're doing that, you're platforming, and especially these people. They've got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 viewers in their lives, and they're up there debating fucking nonsense, debating undebatable fucking topics. Basic human rights is not fucking debatable. You know what I mean? It's not. So when you debate that, first off, you're making it fucking seem like it is a debatable topic. Like, oh, well, maybe there is something here, and you're platforming fucking hate and nonsense.
Like straight up. And we were talking about this a little bit. I think it goes into the concept of free speech. I think free speech could be a decent thing, but the way we've utilized it in our society, it's become a crutch to just say whatever you fucking want with no consequences, with no real integrity behind your actions. But a lot of time it's language and rhetoric that is straight dehumanizing people and offering violence on the back end. And if your language is promising violence, if your language is promising dehumanization, if your language is doing that type of shit, at what point do you confront that? Oh, well, it's free speech. I can say whatever I want. But yeah, you're injecting poisonous fucking toxic ideas into the psyche of the collective. And it's like there should be consequences for that, right? And I think that we're too easily separated from our words. And at the end of the day, like, what are words meant for if not conveying understanding? And so if like you're not trying to convey some understanding that you think I'm less than or you think I should be gone, what are you then doing if not just being like a troll or a sadist or a fucking goofball? But either way, you're cheapening our first tool to kind of connect with each other and work through a lot of our conflict in life. And that's serious shit. We don't take language seriously enough. We don't take communication seriously enough.
Absolutely. One of the things that I've noticed with all the MAGA folk on here and all the fucking wild debate shit that I've watched is that you have a bunch of mediocre fucking clown shoes. And they all want to talk tough and they want to scare somebody, right? And somebody they may succeed in it with people, right? Because not everybody has that fucking, yeah, fuck you, let's do this mentality. The shit can be scary to people in marginalized communities because they've been fucked with for so long. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're empowering cowards to fucking scare people when they can't do it face to face. They can't do it in another way. So they get onto your live with people who are viewing you as somewhat of a fucking safe person to be around because you share some of the same viewpoints, and you're letting fucking some asshat up there spew rhetoric that's directly harmful to the people who are following you. It's fucking crazy.
Nah, straight up. And that's what's frustrating because like honestly, it's a lot of our mutuals. It's people like we try to talk to about these things, kind of highlight. And that's kind of my fear is like when you look at historically, and look, man, I think fascism has always been here in America, right? We've talked about that. I also think it'd be like a little bit disingenuous not to recognize that Trump's taken this to the deep end. Because as I see it, man, you kind of got four camps in America, right? In terms of like general political lineages, right? You got the regression camp, which I think is Trumpers, right? They want to go make America great again. They want to take this shit back. You got the maintenance motherfuckers, which is your neoliberals of some form. You got the reformists, and then you got us radicals that are like, nah, we reject this shit, right? I think the problem becomes knowing who you're talking to, knowing what they're about, what they believe, and then what you can actually do moving forward. And I think the problem we have is most people, if you look at history, you look at these movements, they're going to duck out, man. They're going to either attach themselves to this shit wholeheartedly, or they're going to find ways to kind of hide. Like if you look at the 1930s Germany and the rise of that shit, life was good for a lot of people in that country. It's not like it was good for a lot of people in that country if you want to keep your head down and kind of just accept what's going on. And even right now, like look around you, man. As we see images of people getting abducted, right, kidnapped, violently removed by ICE, as we see images of the bombs we drop globally, as we see images of people with food insecurity and struggling and all these things that are attached to the empire and its policies, there's just as many images of people who are living the good life, still doing whatever the fuck they want, going on vacation, living it up here or there, and that's possible. And that's my fear, is that too many people are going to attach themselves to that comfort. And historically, it just seems to be true. And that's why I think we have to start putting pressure on people in our own lives, man. I think too many people come up to this internet, they come up to social media, they run their fucking mouths online, but then they go back home, they go talk to their friends, they go talk to their coworkers, they don't keep that same fucking energy. And if you're not willing to take this shit back into the spaces where you might have some kind of say, you're not about it, and you are part of the problem, man. People that allow these shit stains to just kind of do whatever the fuck they want, just say whatever they want. If you don't confront that shit real time, you are part of the problem. It's not like, again, it's not some glorious fucking moment of revolution. It's every single small moment where you either choose to do what's right, you choose to live with empathy, you choose to stand for these principles, or you can stay quiet and you can allow them to kind of build the brick. But every moment is a chance to go one way or the other. And in America, we go this way a lot, right? Towards the individualism, towards the apathy, towards the cruelty, towards pro-empire bullshit, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, and I mean, like I don't expect everybody to do shit like I do shit because that's not a smart move. It's not a smart way to go. You know what I mean?
not everyone's Big Joe.
I don't expect everybody to do the way that I do shit. But what I do expect from people who are saying that they're about it is to, at the very least, not tolerate it. You know what I mean? You can't tolerate it. If fucking go back to the fucking paradox of the paradox of tolerance, right? You can't tolerate intolerance, otherwise you tolerate yourself and the people you care about right out of existence. And that's very true when you let it be normalized with the racist jokes or with the fucking the snide comments about immigrants or about trans folk or whatever. When you let that slide for comfortability, you're normalizing it and adding to the fucking problem. And that's essentially, I think, a large portion of why we are where we are, or a large factor to it, because this hateful rhetoric that's spewed on the daily by this fucking regime is normalized. It's okay.
Well, in your opinion, man, like when you look at Trumpism, for example, what do you think are like some of the foundational, and this is kind of vague, but like when you look at Trumpism, what are some of the foundational like values that kind of drives them, in your opinion? And that's pretty vague. That could be social things, political things, or economic things.
Fear and hate.
Fear and hate.
Fear and hate.
Fear of what comes to mind?
Everything.
Just
They're
change in general. They just fucking hate change.
change, yes, absolutely, but they're afraid of everything. You know what I mean? They're afraid of fucking immigrants. They're afraid of people of color. They're afraid of gay people. They're afraid of trans people. They're afraid of other countries. They're afraid. I mean, look at the platform, and it's always been based off of fear. You have to vote for us, or the Democrats are going to come take your guns away. You know what I mean? It's always shit like that, and that's and so that fear tactic that goes to both sides because the Democratic Party does that as well. You have to vote for us, or it'll be fascism. You have to, but then nobody actually does anything to make it so that can't happen. It's all just a tactic to get voters, in my opinion, which is fucking bullshit. They don't actually do anything to make a fucking solid change. You know what I mean? But I'm going off topic there. With Trumpism and conservatism, I honestly think that it's fear and it's fucking hate.
And then do you see any overlap like with that fear and hate and liberalism at all? Or do you think it's different things that drives liberalism?
No, I was just saying, I see that, I see a lot of the same in it, right? It's like it's a fucking campaign technique. You have to vote for us, or else this is the boogeyman's coming.
And who's the boogeyman? But who's the boogeyman? It's because they point to the same boogeyman. Who's that boogeyman? It's the commies, bro. They point to the left. They point to communists. They point to socialists. They point to geopolitical rivals like China and Russia. I'm not here to like promote China or Russia, but I also think it's really fucking goofy, given all the things that we're facing as a nation, as an empire, to try to pawn off our problems on people that live thousands and thousands of miles away. Right? China's not a global military presence. Russia's not a global military presence. We're in their backyards. We're the ones that have fucking bases across the globe. We're the ones with major fucking economic power to the point where we can fucking veto shit down and block things and block different movements and collectives of nations and things like that. And so I think what people have to understand from my perspective is that for all the things you might be able to point to that are differences between liberals and MAGA, even liberals and conservatives, let's say, because I do think there might be some level of difference between traditional conservatives and MAGA. I think conservatives lost what was the Republican Party, right? That's just become a MAGA stronghold. But to me, it's understanding that if you don't like a lot of these outcomes from MAGA, you can trace this back to Biden. You could trace it back to Obama. You could trace it back to Bush. You could trace it back to Clinton. You could trace it back to Bush and Reagan, right? Daddy Bush. Because the fundamental underlying structures are the same. The fundamental underlying belief in the institutions is the same until MAGA, right? Because MAGA is kind of its own thing, right? They're just tearing this shit down, trying to take it back to some outdated bullshit. But at the end of the day, man, like, and this is, it's really important to understand, like, if you want to attach yourself to a pro-capitalist empirical empire party, if you want to attach yourself to a pro-empire, imperialist party, if you want to attach yourself to a pro-empire colonization party, pro-Zionism, all these things that you think are just like happening out there in the world, which is really us doing these things oftentimes, it's going to come back eventually. It always comes back eventually. This is a historical fact. The empire will always turn back in. It's always looking within anyways to some capacity. And if you don't like these things, at some point you're going to have to change what you're doing in terms of who you attach yourself to and who you believe is going to help you move forward against these things. And I'm telling you guys right now, straight up, Democrats are not the fucking answer. And I'm getting kind of sick of that conversation because I believe that truth is self-evident if you pull your head out of your ass. Like, it's just straight up. Like, I think that's a self-evident truth. Like, we're having this conversation about immigration right now, right? And Trump deporting people and El Salvador and things like that. But again, I'm not trying to, like, this isn't to make it better. It's not to minimize what's happening right now. It's not to deny the tone of it. But Biden and Obama deported more people than Donald Trump.
Yep.
ICE existed beneath both of them. People didn't get due process. People even had their rights to habeas corpus denied by both those administrations. This is not new shit. Japanese internment camps, Gitmo, the Civil War back in the day, right? I mean, maybe a little more valid. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? But this has always been a historical precedent with the United States of America, which is why it gets so frustrating. People say, well, fascism's here. Motherfucker, it's always been here. You just feel it finally because it's collapsing within at a higher level.
That's it, right? And I will say, you got my conspiratorial brain going for a second, right? When you were talking about China and Russia being the boogeyman. It really made me think when TikTok got banned for 12 hours or whatever it was, and there was this mass flood onto fucking Red Note. I'm dead serious when I say this. I'm wondering if that's why it got brought back. TikTok got brought back as quick as it was, because I saw all sorts of people going, wow, China's dope. And like, this is nothing what we've been told forever. You know what I mean? They got to see a glimpse into fucking Chinese people's like everyday lives. They're like, yeah, that's not what we were told it is. You know what I mean?
Oh shit, they're people just like us. And in fact, like, and look, man, like, I think the CCP and some of the things that are going on beneath China, I think are obvious human rights abuses and violations. Like what's going on with like the Uyghurs, for example, putting them in concentration camps, things like that. I'm not like trying to act like the Chinese empire, I'll call them, right, a regional power, are good guys in all of this. But again, as Americans, I'm not going to point the finger and act like we're not doing things that they're doing twofold, threefold, so on and so forth. But to your point, that is interesting, man. People are connecting. The Chinese people are highlighting, what their tech looks like, what their lives look like, what their cost of living looks like, what their downtime looks like. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait a second, why do their lives look better than so many of ours here? I thought we were the big, bad, free, wealthy nation. And dude, I don't think you're necessarily wrong about that. You can't have people connecting. You can't have people eroding those borders, right? Those arbitrary lines that make us care more about people here than there.
Yeah. No, it's wild. I tell you firsthand, I've been all over the fucking world. And we're definitely not the big, bad, everybody live in the lap of luxury fucking country that we all think that we are.
No.
By any fucking means, man.
And that's the other problem with this shit, man. I think a big similarity between all of them is, like, a lot of people were talking about this election, and rightfully so, pointing to its impact on marginalized people here. But I'd always ask, what about marginalized people abroad that are impacted by both red and blue? 8 billion people global, 330 million people here, right? 4% of the global population. If your idea of electoral politics ends at the border without considering how we impact the world, I would say that your morals exist in a pretty tiny fucking container. Your morals only apply to 4% of the population at best. And that's a big problem. What about 96% of the world, right, that you're ignoring? And maybe it's a little bit more than that, right? Because I'd say the West in general, I think you could throw in the same kind of pot sometimes. I know like Western empires compete and shit like that, but they also get along when it comes to fucking over the global South and a lot of the East. So
Yeah, yeah. I think that I don't know, man. I think we do have an opportunity here in front of us if we can make it through this fucking regime where we might be able to fucking push and actually make a change and try to break away from this fucking red blue nonsense. I think the opportunity is there, right? It's fucking if we can seize it is the
it
thing.
it should be. Look at dissatisfaction levels with liberals. Like the Democratic Party is not popular right now. I don't think Trump's very popular right now, and even you even see like today, Laura is it Laura or Lauren? Laura Loomer criticizing Trump over the possible plane he's getting from Qatar. Um, it's like you're seeing small kind of fractures in the ranks, and so I do think the time is like there's never been a better time to try and see some kind of third party movement or some kind of dual power movement outside the system. But I do think again that means we have to get away from the fucking fake red and blue debates at times and actually get into education and community building. And that's kind of the hope, man, is to have these conversations with like minded people. It really is quality over quantity. We don't need 80% of the population to agree. We don't even need half the population to agree. We just need a sizable chunk of motherfuckers that are willing to go do work in their community, right? Willing to kind of link up with others, try and lead, and willing to fucking make mistakes, man, and also be willing to handle a little bit of adversity. If you're going to go out and do some things and try to work within certain systems or certain organizations or certain lanes, it's not always going to be the way you think, man. Like sometimes you're going to go out and you're going to have less of an impact than you might have wanted to have that day. And you can't allow that to deter you. Because again, you're not going to beat fascism by yourself, and you're not going to beat fascism in one day. That's not what the game is, right? These systems, these ideologies, these movements, these this lack of morality, it's existed before any of us ever showed up, right? So we're fighting against really entrenched systems, and that can sound really overwhelming. But you can't think about the end goal, man. You got to think about what's just right in the moment. Because if you're just thinking about the end goal, you'll never fucking start. It's too much, bro. It's too much to think about all that. It's not fair for any one person to put that kind of responsibility on themselves. So find the little things day to day you can be responsible for and try to build from there. And you might be surprised where you find yourself a decade from now, even 2 decades from now, if you're lucky, right? I've seen it firsthand with the Iranian resistance, both in that country and outside, right? In terms of what they try to do here in this country. And I've seen how, and it sounds cliche, but I really have seen how a dedicated handful of people can cause a pretty big ripple effect because they were consistent, because they showed up, because they didn't allow themselves to get shut down by, a staffer that didn't care or a reporter that didn't care. They just went to the next person, or they just kept fucking showing up, kept talking to them, kept, humanizing themselves, kept just at it. And at some point, even the haters got to respect that shit. Man, this motherfucker keeps showing up. Man, they keep on helping. Man, they keep on doing this. So
Yeah, fucking tenacity.
we don't got that as Americans. We think we do. I don't think we got that, but we can build it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We think we do, but not like I've seen in other parts of the world. So you hit it right there too. The words of my daughter's preschool teacher when she was in preschool, she always used to sing a song that goes, "It's a lot when we all do a little." You know what I mean? And that rings so fucking true. It is. It can add up to a lot when we all do a little. You don't have to fucking take the entire fight on yourself.
No,
Fucking the kind it be as much as being kind to somebody, an unhoused person that you run across and fucking sitting and talking to them, hearing their story a bit. You know what I mean? Showing fucking kindness to people.
100%. Also, I want to apologize, guys, just because I can't see the comments tonight. I'll try and make sure I got the tech up better with the live so I can bounce off you guys a little bit more. Appreciate you guys being here. I do want to throw a challenge out to everyone. Joe, tell me what you think about this. I think everyone should try and look up a local organization. First, think about some causes that are really important to you. What are some things? I know there's so much going on, but what are some issues or things that are happening that are really just impacting you, that really you have your eye on? Look up local organizations that are trying to work towards solving that, right? Mitigating that, and come to us with it next time. Come to us with it, hit us up, let us know. And I think that if we all just gave $1 a week to some kind of cause, right? Start to lead by example. Because again, can we all just give a little bit, right? I'm not asking people to go out there and donate hundreds, thousands. I think a lot of us aren't in position to do that. But if we can even just start to kind of collect our dollar, $1 a week as a group towards something and build up, let's try and be the change that we want to see, man, and inspire other people.
I'm down with that. And one of the things that I would implore everybody to do too is, you know, look up what's needed in your locale. You know what I mean? And find something that you can volunteer your time for, whether it's physically, whether it's virtually over the phone, on the internet, whatever it may be. Find something to donate a part of your time to make a difference in somebody's life. It could be one person, it could be 10 people, it could be an organization, it could be a cause, whatever. You know what I mean?
And don't overdo it, man. Me and Joe are both pretty into fitness, right? And if someone was starting a fitness journey, I would never tell them, "Hey, you got to be out there 6 days a week." No, man, start one day a week. Hell, start with 30 minutes a week. Can you give 30 minutes of your week to something new and
Yeah.
build from there, right? Just build the habit. And I think a lot of us already do that, right? But I'd say the two biggest things to me is find something new to involve yourself in, learn about, bring it back to the table. We'll talk about it. And number two, take this fucking energy to the people in your lives. No matter the space, it's bigger than work at this point in time. It's bigger than familial relationships. It's bigger than old friendships. It's bigger than your peace and comfort in these settings. It's bigger than that. So I think that if you're in this space hanging out with me and Joe, and you kind of buy into this kind of conversation, it can't just be within this 30 to 45 minutes or however long this is. It's got to go out into our day to day, man. It has to. Otherwise, we really aren't about it. Truthfully, like we just aren't. And then you got to be honest with yourself about that shit. You can't front. So.
No, like I said in that video, and you've heard me say it 1,000 times, theory is good and it's needed, but theory without action is nothing but a book club. You know what I mean? You're not going to make the world a better place by simply reading theory. You have to put things into practice.
Well, that's it, man. And we were talking about this the other night. What does a lot of theory come from, if not people's lived experience, and then putting that down for others so they can access it, and then hopefully then go and do things within their own context. But it's not some stagnant or rigid process. It's kind of circular, right? So you experience life, you go out there, you try to get involved, and as you know, it's never gonna be perfect. So you're gonna make mistakes. So things are gonna go wrong. Some fuckery is gonna happen, and then you go back to the table and you analyze. You analyze that shit. You look at what went right, what went wrong. Maybe you try to figure out ways to kind of mitigate what went wrong, and then you go back out there and you redo it. And then some things are gonna go wrong again, but hopefully you get a few more things right, and then you learn some more shit, and then you come back to the table and you analyze and you talk. And it can't just be one or the other, though, man. And I do think there's a lot of people that kind of sit in their books. As a guy who loves his books,
Yeah.
it's easy, it's safe there, because if you just live in theory land, you can almost try to chase perfection in ideas, and perfection doesn't exist in action, right? So
Yeah, it doesn't. And that's kind of the issue that we see on TikTok a lot. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to call people out or call, a
I am.
ideology out of the internet, but we do see it happen here often on this app. You know what I mean? Everybody talks, everybody, they know what's best, and this is the way that it has to be, without stopping to think that, oh, maybe this book written 100 fucking years ago by this guy, maybe some ideas might have changed with the times. You know what I mean? It's in my opinion, it's almost like a MAGA stance where they want to live in the past instead of recognizing what's happening in the present.
Yeah, but that's because it's easy to because then you get to pawn the work off on someone else, man. And I think that's a lot of the issue. Is even now people want to just vote. Hey, this guy's going to take care of it. This lady's going to take care of it up in Congress for me. I voted for them. They're a good person. They're going to handle it. Now I can sit back and watch the show for the next 4 years, and I'm a good person because who I voted for. But again, like even within the lens of electoralism, are you putting pressure on them to make sure that they're voting for the right things? Are you tracking what they're voting for? Are you talking to their staffers? Right? Are you being known within the people that are supporting him? Are you trying to promote certain resolutions or certain legislation? We don't even put pressure. Even the people who believe in electoralism, we don't put pressure on our representatives. They don't. If your representative doesn't know who the fuck you are, how are you putting pressure on them? How are you sure that they're really promoting your interests and not corporate interests out there? And so I think that even if you believe in the system, if you believe in electoralism, you got to embed yourself in it more, man. You got to get more active. Whatever the fuck you believe in, you got to get more active.
Absolutely. And I just want to point out, Uncle Hammy hit it there. Nobody's going to help us but us. And that's legit. Nobody's coming to fucking save us. We have to be the ones saving ourselves, each other. We have to step up and make it happen. You know what I mean? And that's where, I don't know, man, like there's so much shit that's going on around this nation, and shit changes day to day. I mean, hour to hour. Who knows what fucking weird executive order that clown shoes is gonna sign at fucking 9 o'clock tonight? You know what I mean? Or not, or whatever. Like, who knows? Are we gonna have military fucking marching in the streets tomorrow? Like, who fucking knows?
That's one thing I'm gonna say. If you are the kind of person who's like hyper aware of what's going on, you're always up to date on the news. Get some fucking sleep. I promise you that news will be there in the morning. Get
Yeah.
some sleep. That news will be there in the morning. Make sure you're staying rested up. I know it sounds silly, like, but there's hours in the day to fucking work. Get that sleep, because if you're just like running yourself ragged, not sleeping, that can only last so long. It's not healthy. It's not realistic, and that's the goal. One, they want to do shit when people are asleep. Two, for us Yahoo motherfuckers that are paying attention, they want us up all night stressing about this shit, not getting rest, kind of worrying ourselves to death over it, and taking years off our lives with the stress. Straight up, that is a goal. So get your rest when you can, and obviously don't unplug, but get your rest when you can. So
Absolutely, man. And, one other thing that I want to throw into that for everybody, and I'm not saying this to try to like body shame or do anything like that, but Matt brought up fitness earlier, which I know it doesn't look like it, but I actually, for me at least, Matt's a different story. But I work out a lot and fucking like very vigorously. I run a mile and a half a day at minimum, uh, at least fucking 3, 4, 5 times a week, and then lift weights and box and all sorts of shit for 2 hours a day, fucking 4 or 5 days a week, 3, 4, 5 days a week, whatever it may be, depending on what the week's bringing. Um, while I know I said earlier that like not everybody needs to go out and do the types of things that I do in my everyday life, you need to be able to defend yourself with all these fucking weird little goofies running around, because their hate and their antics are only going to ramp up. You know what I mean? So like you need to make sure that, I'm not even saying to fight. I'm not saying like, oh, get fit to fight, but you need to get fit so that you can get yourself out and into a safe situation. You know what I mean? And a lot of people think like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. But as Matt can tell you, as I can tell you, when it comes time and when it comes down to it, when it's time when the fucking metal meets the meat, you get gassed pretty fucking hard pretty quick. When your adrenaline's running, when shit's going down, it's easy to lose your fucking tank. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying everybody needs to go power lift and do this, that, and the other, but go for a walk, do something. You know what I mean? It's good to clear your mind. It's good for your mental state. It's good to build up some sort of stamina to be able to get yourself out of a shitty situation if need be.
and again, like that depends on level of accessibility, right? If it's within your means, get some kind of movement that works for what your life looks like. And if you do have the ability to get outside and move around, fucking do it, man, for real. Because again, the things that some people should be doing is okay. This is what I want to say, by the way, too. I think there's lots of things that need to be done. That people need to be. You need to understand the climate and where to talk about certain things. And if you know people who are just like running their mouth about like violence and certain things in online settings or in unsecured channels, don't trust them. Straight up, don't trust them, because they don't understand the climate at best. At worst, they're a bad actor within all of this. But to that point, you don't have to be a big Joe Berserk. But if you're going to be the type of person who's going to go to protests, who is going to be on the streets, who is going to be in situations that could get fucking messy quick, depending on who's there and how things go down, you do have to be able to get the fuck out. You do have to be able to get the fuck out. And what's that latest EO? One of the latest EOs, right? They were talking about the possibility of shit, like deputizing people, basically. That might be the right terminology.
That you hit it right there. Deputizing anybody.
Who's that going to be, guys? Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, Three Percenters, right? There's a decent chance they get legitimized institutionally at some point in the next few years. And they're our neighbors, man. Those are the fucking people you live with, all right? They're in our neighborhoods. And so, like, if you wait till this shit arrives on your doorstep, it will be too late. I don't mean that to scare people. I don't mean that to try to fearmonger. That's just to kind of hopefully place some sense of urgency on people to get serious about this shit, whatever that looks like for you.
Absolutely. And I will say one of the things I love about talking with Matt is that he is a lot more collected in his head. Maybe not, but he's he's a lot more. He's able to collect thoughts a lot easier than I am. Right? Like I've got a fucking brain injury. My brain is all over the fucking place, and my speech suffers from it. Right? So he clarified, like pretty much hit exactly what I was trying to say in my mind. Like shit doesn't come out all the time for me. You know what I mean? But you hit it right there. Like it's about accessibility. I'm not telling everybody to go fucking, get wild on a fucking workout. Like if you're out and about and you're fucking trying to be active at fucking protests, at fucking whatever it may be, there's going to come a time where standing there with a sign ain't always going to be it. You're going to have to get out of a fucking situation or react to a situation that's happening. I guess we can say it that way. without violating this app.
And I know the health and wellness industry is kind of like a alt-right pipeline of sorts. It's fucking toxic and messy as all hell. So again, just do what makes sense for you. Move them limbs a little bit if you can, man. Get a little bit of movement. Take care of your health. Take care of your body. Get sleep. Stay hydrated. These simple things we take for granted, man. Get your fucking water. Get a little bit of electrolytes in you, right? Get some sleep if you can. Um, and then maintain the relationships you do have with the people that are about it. I really do think that we're at a point in time where if you like, look, man, I'll just use myself as an example. A couple of my best friends, I've told these guys who I thought if I ever got married would be my best men. They're out the picture, man, for different reasons because they're not about these fucking values. And finally, it just was there's a confrontation point where it's like, look, if you're not about this shit, life's too fucking serious to maintain ties with people that we might love, that we might feel comfortable around, who aren't about it and who we know will probably put their head down or even work towards this shit in some way because they themselves are afraid. I'm telling you right now, there are people that you love that will abandon you or even harm you in this process if you're not ready for it. That is the nature of how these things work when countries begin to kind of go downhill. People have to make fucking choices. People will make choices. And in a super hyper individualistic society where the nuclear family is the end all be all, right? When our morals and values are kind of, indoctrinated into these little containers. If you think that motherfuckers are going to choose you over their family, I think you're wrong. And so I think you got to find real ones who you really know what they're about and recognize that some of these people you might have had great times with through the decades, but they're not going to be there for you when it matters. And you probably know who they are. We all have that instinct. We all kind of have that inkling, right? We put up with certain things. But I'm telling you, find the people that are about it and start building with them. And if you got people who you've known forever that aren't about it, either try to change them, but don't expect too much from that crowd. And that's going to be a lot more people than you want to believe. And again, I'm not saying this to scare people or to try and make the situation like worse than it is, but I just want to make people kind of aware of what's probably coming. Be prepared, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
Okay.
45 minutes is pretty solid. I know it's a Sunday night. People got to get to life and whatnot. I think night one wasn't bad, Joe. Not bad.
No, I don't think it was bad at all. You know what I mean?
We'll get better at this. Um, I know tonight I wanted to keep it kind of open and just kind of shoot the shit, talk with people and whatnot. I do think we'll have maybe a little more of a set idea of what to talk about next time and see where it goes. Usually we kind of flow anyways.
Yeah.
If you miss a live, we'll be posting them to YouTube. Please, 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 I'm going to ask you guys for three things like we already talked about. One, let's all try to research local organizations. Pick one, and let's try to maybe see if we can. And look, don't even. I wouldn't even say donate this week. If you can, you want to do you obviously, but maybe we can all kind of come together, talk about an organization, and then we could all. Let's say right now there's 33 of us. We could all give $1 to something, right? And then kind of week by week try to find something. I think that's a realistic challenge for the group here. Number two, I would say bring someone next week. Bring someone, right? Bring someone in, a friend or a coworker or someone who you think be a part of these conversations, need to hear it. We're not Elon Musk, right? We're not the big advertisers, and we're not doing that janky rage bait shit to try to drive up engagement. We're trying to have real conversations, and so if you want real conversations, you're gonna have to help drive up the engagement through word of mouth, straight up, because we're not gonna be able to do it the kind of goofy ass way that a lot of people do, because we're gonna try to avoid that and try to do things the right way. And again, that's not saying that we have all the answers, that we know everything, but we are going to try to do things the right way. So,
Yeah, we're not going to try to avoid that. We are going to avoid that. Like I'm not taking part in
yeah,
fucking nonsense and dealing with fucking people's bullshit to gain internet clout and followers and all that kind of bullshit. Like I've talked about it before. I mean, Matt's known me for my whole time on this app. I've had accounts on here with hundreds of thousands of followers, accounts with no followers. It doesn't fucking matter, right? As long as I fucking talk to the people that I fucking that want to hear me talk and bounce. And it's not just about me talking. It's not so. All right, dude. Once again, bouncing all over. It's not just about Matt and I talking. Like you guys got shit that you want to fucking topics that you want to fucking us to discuss, that you want to be a part of the discussion of. Fucking hit us up. You know what I mean? Let us know what's what. We have a shit ton of conversations that we have. We have a shit ton of ideas to talk about. But ultimately, if there's something that matters to you that you want to fucking that you want to hear, that you want to see, that you want to interject in, fucking let us know.
yeah, 100%. I saw some requests tonight, guys, and I didn't let it in just because it was night one. I want to let kind of me and Joe flow a little bit. But yeah, starting next week, like you said, just give us a heads up. Hit one of us up just so we can kind of plan for it a little bit, right? We can kind of have a little quick discussion, just see what the topic is. Maybe ourselves kind of research it a bit, just so we can kind of help support the conversation. But I do think Joe and I are more than open to having people into this space, right? There's slots for people to come talk. It's not just about me and him, because it is a community thing, man. We all have strengths and weaknesses, right? areas where we're ignorant ourselves. I know there's a lot more I don't fucking know than do know, and that's where we all gotta, come together and kind of work as a collective to kind of use that collective knowledge to kind of further things. So yeah, like you said, hit us up, let us know. We'll try and get people in here next week a little more, start going forward. Maybe that's something we can kind of do like at the second half or something, start to kind of bring in guests and stuff and kind of have more of a group combo or stuff like that. But I'm telling you straight up, I will be gatekeepy as fuck. If I think the conversation is going to an unhealthy, toxic place, it's just going to be a quick boot. No
Yeah.
apologies. It doesn't mean you have to agree, but we're not going to do like fake debates. And there's certain values we're not going to debate. These are just things that we all understand and we want to work towards. And if you don't, beautiful, but get the fuck out and go with those people.
Yeah, so more so what I was saying, like on topics of shit, was like fucking. There's something that you want us to talk about or whatever, and obviously, people can come up and talk at some point here too. But we're not doing the fucking debate thing. It's not fucking happening. So at that point too, like, I don't know. I would say if you're an unknown,
You're not, yeah, it's not happening. We don't know you. I'm not going to take chances bringing people into the space. We got to know you. We got to know you. There you
like,
go.
oh, I want to fucking, talk about this, that, or the other. Like, you got to have some sort of fucking rapport, so that we know that you're not going to fucking pull some dumb bullshit. Yeah.
No, I think that's the big thing is like we really think that the fake convos with the fascists is like it's not just goofy, it's harmful. Like I'm telling you guys straight up, these creators that are having these fucking fake debates with fascists and platforming, it is harmful. Communication is kind of my thing, and straight up, I'm telling you, these people are doing us all a disservice. And I think that when we just go in their lives and we hype this shit up, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So I would actually suggest people start calling this behavior out, man, putting pressure on people, shame people, man. That shit works. Shaming bullshit behavior works. Staying quiet is complicit. So,
Word.
anything you want to add before we get out of here, bro?
Nah, man. I had something, but I lost it. It's all
I
good.
feel it.
Yeah,
In and
whatever.
out. So yeah, hey, appreciate you guys being here. Real talk, like I said, we'll put these up the next day on the YouTube, like we always do on the lives. You guys got any criticism for us, feedback, hit us up. We're more than open to it. We're big boys with thick skin. You got ideas, let us know. Appreciate everyone for being here. I know it's a Sunday night on Mother's Day especially, and so a lot of people being here is pretty cool. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Right on. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. And Feliz, I can't fucking speak Spanish right now.
No
Feliz
hablo.
Día de la Madre.
No hablo.
I can't even speak English right now. Fuck, man.
That's all right. We've been yapping for almost an hour. So dope. All right, I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks, Joe, first of all, for being here, man. This was cool. Looking forward to next week. And everyone have a great night. Take care of yourselves, be safe, and let's be committed anti-fascists.
Fucking it.